In Song of Solomon, 3 different times, the Bible tells us to not awaken or arouse love until it so desires. Kaylee and Jacob are a newly married couple in the last year, and they tell a story about how God orchestrated their story. And so I want to encourage you to get your heart ready to receive the Word of God in the framework of relationship. So let's go ahead and walk into this episode of Kingdom and Culture with Jacob and Kaylee. So I think it's no accident that we have an amazing godly couple in studio to tell their story and to share what God has done and is doing in their lives together as they co-minister at a church in Los Angeles. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I kind of want you guys to introduce yourselves and tell where you're at, what church you're at right now, and then just a little backstory. Honestly, we'll just get started because we only have a little bit of time together, and so you tell what you want about yourselves. But I do want to give again, I did kind of accidentally, depending on one's theological perspective here, I kind of did accidentally prophesy their marriage.
I was waiting for this to come out.
Yeah, so I'm just going to start off with it. Why not? So they were in our chapel at Vanguard, and it was around the time where couples might or might not start dating, and so I saw the two of them, Jacob and Kaylee, in our chapel in the back. And I said, are the two of you dating? And they looked at each other like, oh, no, why would you say such a thing? They were almost offended that I would even suggest that they'd be dating. Oh, my bad. Come to find out that later, about a month later, they did start dating and then got engaged. And then I'm just going to I got to be the guy that officiated your wedding. So, all right, I've said enough about me. That's my perspective. Yeah. So let's backtrack, get to your story. Go for it, how you guys met and such.
Yeah, well, it started at Vanguard. We had been on different worship teams, and I'm Jacob, by the way, yeah. And met at Vanguard. We were doing worship and just kind of really didn't know each other that well. We just kind of saw each other, but had different instances where we would spend time together doing worship, rehearsals, whatever it was, and eventually just formed into a really good friendship. And from that friendship, it got to that point where we were like, no, we're just friends. And so we thought it was funny when you were like, oh, are you guys dating?
I was like convinced that he's like my brother. Like my parents would even ask because I talk all about him. They're like, why don't you date him? I'm like, ew, he's just like a brother.
Like a solid friend.
Yes.
Yeah, I was the brother. That was not a fun time.
Is it because you pulled her pigtails or?
No.
Yes, we messed with each other.
Yeah, we did, but I don't know. But for a while it was just that until, I don't know, I think just one day it just switched. I think it took Kaylee a little bit longer. Because for me, I was like, okay, I was set.
Once you knew that this is the woman for you.
Yeah, but from then it's just been so many different things that have happened within the last year. I know you've been a part of it, but it's just the matter of graduating, getting married, and moving, and now in our jobs, but it's been crazy.
Well, let's tap in a little bit of that. So, just so that everybody knows, we'll come back to it later. But so, what are you doing now? Where, if each of you could let us know what position you hold at your church. It's a Vineyard Church in Los Angeles. But yeah, just that kind of what's happening now, and then we'll kind of reconstruct how you got there, because what I want to show is like if there's like a 15 or 16-year-old here, even a 20 or 21-year-old wondering, God, what do you have for me? Who am I going to marry? What am I going to do for a living? How am I going to make it? We want to encourage people that God is faithful. Yeah. And so I kind of gave the punchline there in terms of the goal, but tell a little bit about what you're doing now and your position, because I know you're actually filling into your major in many respects, but in a ministry context. And Jacob, I guess business does apply to the church, the Lord's business.
Definitely.
But yeah, so whoever wants to start, maybe Kaylee will start with you.
Yeah, right now.
Ladies first.
I'm the communications manager for Vineyard Church, and I get to do all the social media, some design things, and all like the mass communication, like emails and texts and all of that. And I still get to do worship with Jacob sometimes. But
and you were a communication major at Vanguard, so you're able to apply what you learned and your gifts and talents there.
Yeah, I wanted to do worship going into Vanguard.
Yeah.
But I came in undeclared because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I didn't think I needed a degree to worship necessarily. So
worship goes wherever you go. You worship God wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I found communication.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. I think my sophomore year, I declared communication as my major. And yeah.
Cool. And now you're doing it. And you said Vineyard Church. Now, which Vineyard Church?
Vineyard Church on the west side of LA.
Okay, West Side Vineyard.
Yeah.
West Side Vineyard.
It was West Side Vineyard, but what was really cool, it was the founding vineyard. It used to meet on the beach.
Really?
Santa Monica. And so we have now just kind of transitioned instead of, there's all like kind of vineyards that are distinguished as, we have like Mid-City, then we had West Side and all this, but now we're just Vineyard Church because that's where it started.
Time and things.
But
cool.
Vineyard Church.
And in Los Angeles. Okay. So Jacob, what are you doing?
I'm the worship pastor over at Vineyard Church. So handling any and all things worship, production, that sort of thing. Get to oversee multiple teams, which is very similar to what I did at Vanguard, which was awesome because had all that preparation that got me to this. And just being on a team as just the pastoral kind of guy that people on the team can go to, people interested in music and production. And it's really cool to see how that has kind of shifted my responsibilities in a way from just leading a worship team to now like what I'm doing at Vineyard. It's been really good.
And I love it. You're 23, Kaylee. You're 24, Jacob. You guys just got married in May of 2024. I should know that. I associated the wedding. It's in my calendar. I just didn't have it in my head. I love it because you're serving God. You're getting a paycheck. Praise the Lord in ministry.
I know.
Count your blessings, name them one by one type thing, right? So we're gonna backtrack a little bit on that. So you guys met and you're in college, you got engaged after you graduated, right, Jacob? So while she was a senior at Vanguard, you guys
she got to flex her ring on campus.
Yes, she did, and she did. She did. Like it was the ring of power from Lord of the Rings. Like she was like precious. No,
my hand's so it hurts. Oh, it's so heavy.
It's like, oh, your left bicep looks a little larger than your right one because you're just lifting so much gold and jewels.
Yeah, that was fun.
Okay, that was fun. Thanks for going with our jokes on that. That was great. Hey, so while you were there, what kind of thoughts were you guys having? What kind of led up to your hearts coming to a place where not only here you are going to get married, but that hey, ministry is where we're going, especially being non-ministry majors in college. How did you come to that place of peace to say, here am I, Lord, send me, in terms of your now current chosen profession? Ministering.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of crazy because I think the ministry aspect of it kind of happened before me and Kaylee even really knew each other. It was after SFD and the spiritual formation department at Vanguard when I had gotten involved, and I came in as a business major, not really knowing what I was going to do like at all.
And you transferred from San Diego State?
Yeah, San Diego State, and I was in engineering. Yeah. So I was good at math, let's do it. I almost failed physics. It was so bad. But I came in not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, and it wasn't until like my sophomore year when I came to that realization that people have always been my mission, and this is ultimately what I've always been doing, but never knew that that's actually what I wanted to pursue. Yeah. And so that came into play. And when I had met Kaylee, I don't want to speak for her, but it was almost like we kind of already had that set. Like that was already something like, this is what we're doing, this is what we're pursuing. So when we got to know each other and we kind of progressed in our relationship, that was never a like debatable. Like it was always like, no, we both have this foundation. I think that was a big part of like what drew us together too. Yeah. Was because that was never a, maybe we do ministry, and maybe we like, no, it was like, no, we're doing ministry.
Wow. And so it's kind of like you're both following Jesus together, and your paths converged. As you're serving God, now you're serving God together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's oversimplification, but I think a good picture of a faithful pursuit of Christ first and foremost, and then God brings your paths together to serve him together.
Yeah.
And what a blessing that is, that you get to do that using your gifts and talents. Obviously not limited to. Jacob, you actually are a dry, witty humor guy. You could do stand-up comedy, I'm sure, one day.
If I got over my nerves, I probably could.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
But you're up there leading worship on a regular basis, every Sunday at least, and then some. You're helping with leading worship as well, because Kaylee also, I've seen both of you lead worship quite effectively. And both of you have different styles too, which I love. And God kind of does that too. He brings kind of opposites attract type thing.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, as we continue hoping that high school and college students are listening right now, for those that are listening, what would you say, in terms of, now we're deconstructing from where you are now, college sort of, and you can dip into that a little if you want, but I guess the question would be best framed, could you have ever seen yourself, your high school self and young college self, following God first and foremost as you did, and then coming to this place of pursuing godly relationship together? I guess, what would you say to your high school aged self if you could tell that person 8-7 years ago, hey, God's got this, trust him a little bit, don't try and date the next guy that comes your way or the next gal that comes your way, Jacob? What would you tell your high school self in terms of how God orchestrates relationship on a romantic level, and how to trust him in that? I know that's deep, and that could go on any direction, but hey, I'll let you guys walk that trail.
Yeah, I wish I could tell my younger self that, like, God's got it, like, chill out. I was, like, so obsessed with trying to find my person, and that led me to date, like, really bad people, and I think I would just...
Do you mind me asking, and maybe you haven't shared this with your husband, how many guys did you date? I mean,
we actually just talked about
good,
this
good.
for
So
the
it's
first
not new.
time.
Oh, good thing we got that out.
I know, that would have been a good question.
We were sitting in the Target parking lot.
So then you can
and we were
tell
like,
us,
yes.
on the internet, to the World Wide Web.
I could count on 2 hands.
Okay.
Yeah, I dated a lot of people.
Yeah, and why? And that's, again, nothing against you for that. Why do you think that was for you?
Well, high school was weird. High school, I was in, like, a rebellious stage.
Okay.
So I was just dating to date because it was fun.
Okay.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with dating, but I wish I didn't, just because it was kind of pointless.
Yeah. Like the goal wasn't marriage.
Yeah, the
per
goal
se.
was, I was not thinking about marriage, but I knew I wanted to get married young and I wanted to have a husband. But in high school, I was not thinking about who my husband was.
Because you can't know what you just don't know.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not trying to angle for a I kiss dating goodbye thing here. That's not what we're going for here. This is, but how do we make sure we keep our eyes on Jesus?
Yeah.
Whether you're in high school, college, or postgraduate type life. Yeah.
Well, I think, like, in college, at least for me, like, everyone's so obsessed, especially at a Christian college, with finding, like, the one.
To get their MRS degree?
Yes.
Right.
And I think the whole, like, just topic of the one is what we wrap our identities into. Because then when we're dating somebody, it's like all this pressure on this one person.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, then it's like, okay, they're not the person for me. But with us, I feel like since it happened so naturally and we were friends for a while beforehand, we were like, wait, I, like, don't want to live without this person. And despite fighting and going through some, like, hard times.
Wait, you fight?
Yes.
No.
Oh, you guys, nobody else fights. You're the only ones.
Not on Valentine's Day.
Not on Valentine's Day. Good call. And that's on you.
Yeah.
Jacob, that's on Jacob.
Yeah. No, she makes a really good point about, when we obsess over this, like, the one and looking for that person and dating with that kind of mindset, it becomes this checklist of, like, all these different things that we might be looking for, that we're looking that they don't have. And in reality, what we have found, and some days harder than others, but it's about choosing that person, day after day after day. And that pursuit, it's not a matter of like, okay, they have to check my boxes. It's like, I'm never going to check all of her boxes and vice versa in a way. But it's about, I love this person so much. I want to grow with them. I want to be better with them. Yeah. And about choosing. And I know that's something we found out very quickly, because I think we had mentioned before that if it had been about finding the one and meeting this criteria, we don't know if we would have continued dating. Yeah. Right. Because that was something where there was always something coming up and we're like, man, we're arguing till 2 a.m. or we can't get over this one topic. And if we had let that if it had been about dating, if we had come to each other and it's like, okay, yeah, we want to pursue this relationship, however that looks like, and it had not been about that pursuit of that relationship founded in the Word and founded in what marriage is supposed to reflect, then we would have just kind of given up and just been like, this is too much work. This is not what I'm looking for.
Well, and could you say maybe, as you look in Scripture, 1 Corinthians 13, and love is patient, love is kind, love does not boast, it does not envy, it is not self-seeking, love forgives, it endures. And you look in Scripture, and even in Ephesians 5, in the marriage context, where men are to love their wives as Christ loved the church, that's sacrificial. Mm-hmm. But in many respects, women, honoring your husbands, that's also sacrificial because, listen, I've been married for 22 years, and when my wife believes something and she humbles herself to honor me when she does not want to do it, oof. Yep. But that's 22 years talking right there. But so could you say maybe love in the biblical Christian sense is less a feeling and more a choice?
Yes.
Yes, good answer.
100%.
100. Can we put a 100 emoji on that? No, that's good.
100% a choice. Yeah, I think if you don't choose to love the person, that's how, I feel like I've heard so many stories of people getting divorced and they say, their love, they just fell out of love. Yeah. And, I think the feelings of, what's that word of infatuation?
Yeah, there are feelings.
Yeah, sure. Nothing against the eros, the romantic love, as Scripture even talks about.
And there's still that, but it changes in a beautiful way. I think choosing to love someone despite their flaws and that's more beautiful than just being infatuated with the what you think of how perfect they are.
Yeah. It's that's what you want in a life partner. You want somebody who's going to choose you. Yeah. Not just be in a honeymoon phase with whatever these things that you bring or whatever attributes about you.
That's what Jesus does with us. He chooses to love us despite our flaws, and he chooses us every day. And
what do you think gave you both the confidence to go forward from one step to the next, from, we have fun with each other. He's my brother. She's like a little sister. It's fun. We're just friends, Mom, Dad. What? Pastor Mike, how dare you say we're dating? There's no way. It's just us loving life and being friends together. Yeah. What would you say helped you one step to the next step? And maybe you kind of touched on it already, but in continuing to choose each other.
Yeah.
I think we always joke about this. It started with Kaylee just being bold. And it was one day we were just in the car hanging out. We weren't really still in this kind of friends talking.
But starting to get really flirtatious.
Yeah. And she just flat out asked, she's like, okay, what is this?
Oh.
Do you like me?
She called you out. So were you still in poke brother phase?
No.
Yes, that whole day you were pushing me around.
Okay, but you can
Hello, everybody on the internet. We're having a moment where they're actually having a conversation here.
But no, I think people just in the relationship just being bold and being honest. I know you hear that all the time, but just being honest with yourself and being honest with each other and having conversations, I think, was the biggest thing for us, because we'd come across something, instead of pushing it to the side and not talking about it, we would work through stuff. Obviously, it's not going to be easy, but as we had those conversations, as people stepped up and were bold, we were able to realize, okay, we're ready for this next step, and we're gonna. And there was discernment in it too, and we were praying through our relationship, and we were constantly spending time focusing on, like, why are we even doing this? Like, it wasn't just dating to date anymore.
Yeah.
But I think, like, at least in my previous relationships, marriage was always the number one thing. Like, even, like, within the first month of dating, it would be like, okay, marriage. But with us, which, like, in a good way, I feel like we both knew our goal was marriage, but we weren't constantly talking about marriage. Like, we actually were dating each other and having fun and, like,
taking
just,
one day at a time type thing.
Just experiencing what it is to be with each other.
What on that note, because obviously you were at a Christian university, what role did your friends and your community play in your coming together and staying together? Because at your wedding, I saw that there were people on both sides, your bridesmaids and your groomsmen, great people, funny people. The guy's hilarious, dude. The guy with the rose petal, your flower man, Parker.
Yeah.
Parker did amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had to be there, everybody.
He had a fanny pack
with rose petals.
Yeah, it was great.
Great flower man. What role did community and friends play in your steps together?
I think friends and community played more heavily into our relationship with Christ rather than directly our relationship together. Okay. I felt,
except for me, of course, I was like a direct, like, you're dating.
Yep.
And that's,
But I found times Kaylee would tell me she'd go talk to her best friend when we'd have a fight. And
Shout out to Sarah.
Go talk to Matt, my best friend, and it really helped to either have perspective or just someone to listen, but not necessarily. It wasn't to you didn't need someone to say, like, you're in the right, you're in the wrong. It was more so just having that ability to just talk. And we talk. Obviously, there's talk of having healthy relationships with friends, but we felt in that regard, our friends really helped feed just ourselves when we had those conversations. But I think especially, and this is what when you were talking in the question about what we would tell our younger selves, community plays so much into your relationship with God. And I saw that in our friend group at Vanguard, and then our church friends, and just everywhere around. Like, it just constantly was conversations. It was constantly check-ins, and it just really fed and inspired us, I feel like, to just keep on going. But
would you say, well, Christ being your foundation, his word together, as you walk that together and you're pursuing Christ together, maybe community is kind of the air you walk through that is surrounding you, giving you hope and fun and accountability. I'm sure, there's that even to this day. The accountability factor of, as you have men of God, you can, as iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another, or as an iron sharpens, maybe a woman sharpening another. Sarah, you mentioned your friend, and so you guys are getting sharpened continually in that.
Support.
And as we framed this time together, you're obviously serving the Lord together, which again I think is. It can branch out to others. Like, you don't have to be in a pastoral ministry or in a church working as the communications manager to serve God together. You can be in any framework of serving God, but in the church, whether you're in a pastoral position or a leadership position, or you're serving in the church as a volunteer, but doing your day job. In light of all of that, getting back to how you guys are now working together in the church, in light of what you're both doing, with you doing communication, social media, graphic design in the church, and Jacob, you being the worship pastor, we kind of touched on a little bit with regard to the relationship side of things, but how can a high school student or a college student today prepare their hearts for service, whether that be full-time in the church or serving God through the church and in their vocational calling? What kind of things would you say to maybe a junior or senior in high school preparing to go to college, and maybe somebody in college as they're walking that road? They're just trying to get good grades, maybe play sports, maybe do music, whatever it is. Maybe they do have a relationship. but how would you suggest they add into their framework of understanding? And don't forget about preparing yourself for service unto the Lord. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's kind of a wordy question, but
I like how you bring up sports. I have a great example. It was this youth kid. His name's Chaz, and he explained to me, he's like, I decided I'm not going to do sports in high school. I'm just going to focus on being a drummer for youth group. And they have a big youth group, like 300 kids. And just what I got from that is just being willing to sacrifice and having that mindset of things that I want versus things that are going to grow me and that are going to prepare me.
Wow.
So I'm not necessarily saying you need to like quit this and do this instead, but you have to have that mindset of I'm willing to give this up if it means you're forming my heart or you're forming my perspective. And that just, I feel like that's where service stems from, is like, I can give this up, or I'm willing to give this up. I will give this up. And he's a freshman in high school, and he's deciding just right off the bat, I'm going to serve the church. I'm not going to do sports in high school. And for me, I don't think I could have done that.
Because there's a tension there. Like, you have practice and getting to youth group, and if you can't do that if you have all that other commitment. So you're saying kind of go all in for Jesus type thing. Yeah. That's powerful. Not easy, but once you make your mind up to serve God that way, and as a freshman in high school, way to go, Chaz.
I know. It took me like a while to even think about that. I came in as a freshman in college, and it ultimately has kind of led to like where we're at now. Yeah. But kind of with the same decision, I was like, do I either try to walk on at Vanguard or do I pursue worship?
Yeah. And that was for baseball.
Yeah, that was for baseball. So did baseball my entire life from when I was 4, and that was just a decision.
And I've seen him play, everybody. He actually is really good in the infield.
It was great.
Yeah.
But ultimately made that decision for worship. Long story short, worship led to meeting Kaylee. Kaylee led to meeting different parts of her family. Yeah. That then leading to getting introduced to Vineyard, and then now being installed as the worship pastor at Vineyard. So it's like that one decision for me and my path led me all the way to where I'm at now and the capacity that's awesome. I can serve. And
Kaylee, anything you want to?
Yeah, I think finding also like your gifts and like identifying the gifts that God's given you like naturally. Yeah. Like if you're naturally a pastor, like and you're part of a baseball team and you don't want, like you don't have a heart for local church ministry, being a pastor to your baseball team is just
like through Fellowship of Christian Athletes or something like that.
Yeah. And like, I think just identifying your gifts and what you're naturally good at is how you can prepare yourself to serve the local church or to your community in the best way, because God works through those natural things.
So awesome. Well, as we wrap our time together, how do people, I'm going to look at the communications manager, how do people know about your church in Los Angeles? Maybe some of our listeners there in LA, and how can they get in contact with your church? Yeah. Is there a website?
Yes, there's a website, and follow our Instagram.
Okay.
I'm in charge of.
What is it?
Vineyard Church LA. And then our website is vineyardchurch.la.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so you can do it .la?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, Jacob and Kaylee Nowlenfritchman, good to have you here. Friends of mine, but thank you for helping us celebrate this Valentine's Day and telling a little bit of your story and what God has been doing, what he is doing, and we just pray blessings on what he will continue to do through both of you, and that all of those who are listening, that they'll be able to take a little bit of what you share today and impact their campus, their community for the glory of God. So, you guys rock.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So whether you're dating, whether you're married, or you're just praying about what that means and you're single, God has a plan for your life. Ultimately, the plan is to stay with him and be true to relationship with him above all else. But until Jesus returns or we go to meet him, God has a story to write for you. So I hope you'll take Jacob and Kaylee's story and their words and be encouraged and continue to walk faithfully with Jesus. We'll see you next time on Kingdom and Culture.